Hello friends, in this course we will learn how to use the end progress bar in Next.js App Directory. So as I was working in my new project which is just coming soon, and I find out that the Next.js App Directory doesn't support the progress bar. So now if we go to browser and search for progress bar, so that's what I'm talking about. It is called actually in progress bar. So this is the small package which I'm talking about, which is Next.js progress bar. Now, as we got to Next.js 13 app directory, it doesn't support this progress bar. If you install it, you can't use it as we did this in Next.js 12. So that's why in this course we'll learn how to solve this problem. So for that, let me show you how I did this. So now if for example I go to the kids category, and here let me click on this kid. Now as you see, the loading is here and also something is progressing. So instead of installing a package like in progress bar, in this course I'll show you how to create everything from scratch, which makes more sense than installing any kind of package, which for example in that case now it's not supporting. If you upgrade your app directory of Next.js, you will no more get the support from them. So that's why it's better to create those small packages by yourself. And also, if you're interested to learn this course which I am working currently on, don't forget to subscribe my channel, because this will be a full stack course in which I'll show you everything from authentication, registration, we will have search components, we will use state management, we will use payment system. So it will be a full stack web shop which we will create using Next.js. So don't forget to subscribe my channel if you want to learn this also from me. With that being said, now let's go ahead and see how to create our own end progress bar. So for this, I'll just go ahead and open my Next.js project. Now inside this, I have a lots of files and folders which are not completed yet. So if you see something just like copy or something like that, just ignore them because I am working currently on this project. So now to create our functionality, now I'll just go here inside our source, and here inside the components I'll be using this progressbar.js file. Now it's empty because I want to teach you everything from scratch. So this will be a client-side component, so that's why let's use the client tag here. So I'll say use client, and then we will create our function, or I can just remove the use client for now and create my function, and after that we can use just the use client tag above this import here. So this way Next.js 13 will treat this component as client-side component. So now let me save that. So now here inside this progress bar, or inside this progress bar function, we'll be using the use state hook. So I'll say here const use state. So now it will be, I'll name it just progress and set progress. You can just call it anything you want. So for me it makes more sense, and it will be just use state of React like that, and it's a function, and the initial value here will be 0, which will increment using our functions. So after that I'll be using the use effect hook. So use effect, and this is a function, and this use effect function will use also a callback function as usual. So I'll define it just here, and inside the curly braces I need a const, and it will be just, we call this interval because I'll be using the set interval function here. So set interval, and inside this we'll be using another callback function, so like that. And here we will just set the progress. So we will set this progress here to something. So I'll say here to the new value. Now I'll say set progress, and inside this we'll be using a variable. So I'll call this as just previous progress, because we need to take the previous progress and check if everything is working for us. So let's say take the previous progress. So now here I'll define my arrow, and then I'll say just here, for example, the previous. So I need my previous progress, and I'll just check if it is greater than or equal to 100. If it's more than 100%, so we'll just bring this to 0, so we can start the searching or the progress from the 0. Otherwise, so I'll say else the previous progress, so it should be plus 10. So we'll just define this plus 10. So for example, if it's here, it will take 10%, and it will just continue like that. So that way we can see a good progress bar here. And also here now we will set this interval to upgrade our set progress every 600 seconds or 600 milliseconds actually. So it will be just like that, and we'll define here, for example, 600. So every 600 millisecond it will just increment this progress from 0 to 10, or if it is just 100 it will bring it to 0, and then it will just continue like that. And also, as we want to use our use effect just run once, or just by the time we are searching for a file or doing something in which we want to run our loading, so in that case we need this use effect to run just once. So that's why I'll be using here just an empty array. So as we got this, then we will return our div. Now in that case it will just return this progress bar, but we have to define some CSS to see if everything is working. Now let me show you the result of that. Now if we go back to our browser, so and here, now if I just go back to the main page and go to kids, now it's still working the same, and it has no idea what's going on because the Next.js caches everything. So let me just cancel the terminal, and now inside the Next.js directory, here we got this cache. So let's delete this one, and we will run our project again like this. And now if we go back here and try to run this, now as you see, we see this progress bar as it's running. And also if I click on this, you'll see just it says progress bar, which is just coming from here like this. Now here, to show something else, we need our own CSS. So let's create that CSS file. So for this, I'll just use in that case, or in this app, so inside the app directory, I have created another folder which is called CSS styles, and inside this I have a file which is called main.module.css. So this is what we will also import here inside our progress bar. So let's import this. So here I'll say import, and we need our styles, so we'll import this as the name of style from, and then we have to define from where we get this. So it will be .back, and here app directory. Inside that we got this folder, and from here we will just bring this main.module.css. So inside this we need some CSS also, so let's create that CSS. Now here I'll say class, and it will be .loading container. So I'll just call this like that. You can call it anything you want, but you have to then use the same name inside this divs here. So now here I'll just position it first of all as fixed, so it will just fix the viewport. and then I'll say top of 0. So because we want to show this progress bar just here, so that's why I'm just using the position of 0. And then after this we'll say left 0, so it should start from left side. So I'll just use the left, and then we'll give it a width of, for example, 100%. So it will cover all the viewport for us. And after that we'll define a height here. Now height, for me 3 pixels is enough, but you can use more than that if you want so. And then I'll say the background color. Now here, as we are using just a container for us, so the background color for this time I'll just use some hash here, so it will be a gray color. So it will be F2, F2, and F2. It will just give me a good gray color. And now inside this loading container, we need a line or a loading bar, which will just continue running one by one, just like this. So let's create that. Now here I'll say loading, for example, bar. So like that, loading bar class, and here I'll say height will be 100%. So 100% basically means now, because it will run inside this container, so it will cover this 3 pixel height here. So now as we got that, then we will say the background color of that. Now the background color will be the loading bar or the progress bar color here. So just you can use any color you want. For now I'll just choose the red color. And then we'll be using the transition. So the transition of CSS, and here I'll just define the width. So width, and I'll say 0.5 seconds, milliseconds, and is and out. Now you can use any kind of animation or transition you want. For me, it will be just like that, because that is what the end progress is also using. So after that, we need some content also, for example, our loading spinner. So we have to define that also. So for that, I'll create another, or just let's check everything. So you can see that everything is working as we want. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. Now here we got this div. Now inside this, we'll use a class name, and we will just use that styles, so which we have imported here. So we'll be using that here. Now styles dot, and then you can use the name of the CSS which we use. Now as this will be our container, so that's why I'll say loading dot container. This is our container. So now inside this we will create another div here. So we need one more div. So let's create that. And inside this div we will use on our another CSS class which we have created. So I'll say class name. Again we need a style name. So style dot or styles dot. Now we need the class name, which is coming from here, which is called loading bar. So let me just copy this one and just paste it here. Now what this loading bar does, it will just give us this height here, and also the background color of red, and also some transition. But as you see, we just define the width inside this transition, and we don't give it any amount of width, because this width will be added from our progress bar here. So how to do this? Now for this, we'll just use an inline CSS. So we'll just use the style, and inside that we will define the width. So the width will come from here, but here we'll just use backticks like that, and inside this backticks we will define our progress, which means at the start the progress will be 0, so the width will be 0, and later on as we run to load everything, every 600 milliseconds, so it will just add plus 10 on that. So now here we'll be using that progress bar, so it will be the variable of progress. So now let's save it. But now before continuing the progress, we have forgot to clear that interval also. So let's do this also, because otherwise it will not clear the interval for us, so we don't get a new interval. So this will not work as we want. Now here I'll say I'll return a callback function, and inside this we'll just say clear interval, which is a function like that. And what should it clear? So our interval is here, so I'll just copy this one. I want to clear this interval from here. Now let's see if everything is working. So let's go ahead here, and now if I click on it, no, it's not working. So let's see what's the problem here. And the problem is width progress. Okay, of course for the width we need to define the percent, so it will be just not 10 without any unit. So here we have to define this percent, so now it is 10%. Now let's go ahead and test this again. So let me click on this. So as you see, the progress bar is running as we want. So let's go ahead and try it again. And as you see, the progress bar is running as we want. Now below this I want to show an spinner here. So let's go ahead inside the module.css, and here we will define our spinner also. So first of all, I'll say loading content. So I'll create a main container for the content here. So it will be loading content like that, and it will be just a flex box. So let's say display, and this will be flex, and again align items. So items, and this should be center, and for the position we'll say it's absolute, so not relative but absolute. And also here we will say from the top it should be 100%, so like this. You can position this as you want. For me, I want to just show this on the left side, but you can just define it anywhere you like. So here we got top 100%, and for the right we'll say it is 0, so we can show that on the left. And we'll say the width of this will be something like 100%, so it will cover everything. And then we will give it a padding. So I have already tested everything. For me it's easy to just imagine, but you can check the style you want. So now again, then we need our loading spanner inside this. So loading spanner we will call this, and to rotate that we need also some div here. So we'll give it a 20 pixel div. You can make it larger if you want. You can just use 40 pixel. And then we need height, of course, so it will be for me the same thing. So we have like a box for now, and then we will say border radius to make this rounded, and this should be 50%. And after that we'll be using the border, of course, to color this, and this should be 2 pixel solid, and let's give it a blue color just like that. So it will be 349. You can use any color you like. For me, I want to show this blue color here, and I'll say border top and color. So we need the color of this. It will be transparent, so we don't see any color here. And then we can use our animation. So here you have to, of course, have a good knowledge of CSS, otherwise it's difficult for you to follow the course, but here what we are doing is we are creating just a circle, and now we will be using the animation to animate that so we can see that rotating or that spinning box or circle here. So for this, here we will be using a variable of spin, which we will just create in a minute, and then I'll say it should use it every second, and it should be linear, and it will run forever, so it will just infinity run. And then I'll say margin right, so I'll give it a margin right of, for example, 10 pixel, like that. So, and after that we have to define this spin here. So let's, for this to run or to rotate that spinner, we'll be using the keyframe. So don't forget to use the keyframe. So here I'll say keyframe, and the identifier here will be the spin, which is we have defined here. You can name it anything you want. And inside this we'll say from 0%, of course we'll start that keyframe, so like that. And here I'll say transform like this, and this should rotate, and the first is 0 degree, and then from 100%, so from 100% we will just rotate this transform. So let's transform it, rotate, and here it will be 360, which will just round a circle. So it will be 0 and then runs and 0 and runs and 0 and runs. So it will continue working like that. So 0 degree. And also we will have some text here. So let me create the class for loading text, for example. Here loading text, and here it will be font weight of bold, for example. And then we will define the color as we are using the color here. So let's just copy this blue color. Of course you can change the color as you wish. I put a colon here also. So let's save this, and we'll go back. But before coming here, we have to bring our all CSS classes also here. So this will be our just progress bar, and after that we'll create another div, and this div this time then will be our file which we run. So here we got class name, and this will be styles. So we need the curly braces first, styles dot, and this time here we need the loading content, I think. Yes, the loading content. So loading, not container, but we need the content, and inside this content we will define the content. So our content will be here our spinner. So here we will define the class name again, and let me just copy the class name. It will be loading spinner and loading text, I think. So first of all, styles dot loading spinner. We don't need any text here. Below this we'll need another div, and here it will be our text. So class name, again same game, styles dot loading content or loading text, like that. And inside this we need of course some text, so we'll say it's loading dot dot dot, like that. Save it, and if you go back and let me try everything again. So as you see, we see this spinner and also loading, and our progress bar is also running, so everything is working as we want. And also I forget to show you where to add that progress bar so it will be available in your entire project. So for this, we'll go back to VS Code, and here, if we just minimize everything, now in Next.js 13, you will have an app directory, and inside that app directory, you will create one file which is called loading.js. So in loading.js, you'll create just a normal React component, and then you will import the progress bar and just return it like this as a component. So this way it will be available in your entire project. But if you want to use this also in your dynamic routes, so for that also you can follow the same process. You have to go to your dynamic routes, and here you just need to create a new file with the name of loading.js and then add this progress bar there. So this way it will be available there for you also. And also if you want to change the color of that, for example, just as a component, what you can do is you can just go ahead here. Now instead of taking the color from here, for example, background color of red, you can just remove that background color from here. And so here, for example, inside this style, you can add the background color like this width, but here you can just go ahead and use another prop from here. So you can use a prop of, for example, BG color. So then you will add that BG color here, and after that you can access this from progress bar anywhere you import this. Then you will say here, for example, the BG color of this is, for example, blue or whatever you want. So this way you can change the color also dynamically as you want. But this will be your homework. Go ahead and give it a try. If you couldn't do it, let me know in the comment box. I will show you how to do this also. With that being said, now if you like the video, please press the like button, and also if you want to learn more from me, go ahead and press the subscribe button so you will get informed as I upload my new courses. With that being said, see you in the next video.